Welcome back, everybody, to another anticipated releases. I am Nick.
And I'm Travis.
And so this one's going to be a little bit different because of the fact that Mike has so much crap going on right now. He actually couldn't find a time to record with us, but he does have a lot of games that he does want to talk about, I think 2 or 3. So we're going to definitely have him talk about those games. But to start things off, me and Travis want to be talking about our games that we love because we feel like we still want it to feel like a discussion as well. So yeah, I'm just dancing around the point at this point. So Travis, let's just jump right into it. What games do you want to talk about?
Okay, so one of my games that I am actually very interested in coming out next month was announced at E3, I think, or at least that's when I first heard of it, is Starlink Battle for Atlas. This game really took me by surprise because I'm usually not too much into the whole getting into a starship and just blowing crap up. But then when they announced like Star Fox being one of the characters for like the Switch exclusive, like that part really intrigued me because it seems like the more and more I hear about like how they're incorporating him, it just seems like that he's actually been like a really major part of the story. And then like with the Nintendo Direct having the little teaser with Wolf in there, it definitely looks really cool. And then like it's open worlds. Not even open worlds. They went a whole extra mile there. Because like flying in and out of the atmosphere looks really cool, and then it looks like there's a lot to actually like do within each world. I don't know how many worlds there actually are in it, but
I don't know that either.
Thing that I also thought was neat was, even though I don't know how much I will actually use it, but they did both like using the little toy thing to like add on the guns, but then there's also like that menu that you can do, so you don't actually need to be, holding the Switch controller with the thing in the middle for the ship, because I can imagine that can get hectic, and if you live in a household like I do with my beautiful little Mojo, who would probably eat my spaceship immediately. I'm glad that there is
he's chaotic, but he's chaotic evil.
Exactly, chaotic evil.
Chaotic good.
Debatable. Yeah, but I thought it was really neat that you can still play it the way you want to, where you don't have to use that toy thing if you don't want to. I'll try to use it at first. We'll see if it sticks with me. Yeah. But they definitely want and like thought about the audience that's like, it's the toy thing, because some people aren't interested in it, but we'll see how it turns out.
Yeah, one thing that was actually really big for me when I saw that kind of edition, I think we talked about it with Mike a little bit after the whole E3 thing. It is really cool that Star Fox is getting kind of like a feature show in that, especially because it's been like a long neglected IP. And honestly, I believe Star Fox Zero was a very, very good game, but it's just the control scheme was just so annoying to try to get used to and everything, and it just didn't feel as intuitive. You did get used to it after a while, but it was just a very disappointing game in general. But it's nice to see like a franchise that's kind of been neglected on Nintendo's part kind of get the spotlight a little bit in the Ubisoft game too. One of the things that I thought was cool about this game too is, as you mentioned, that whole like little figure to play the game. So it's like if people want to go that more gimmicky route on trying to play a game and try to innovate the way they play the game, they'll still have it. But at the same time, it's not necessary. And I think one of the reasons it's not necessary is because of the fact that I'm pretty sure this game is releasing for multiple platforms. But if that's what it takes for Nintendo to give us more control schemes, I'm absolutely okay with that, because sometimes they can be terrible. Just absolute garbage.
Right.
But again, I do love a lot of things that Nintendo does, but I don't understand some of the decisions they make on just not controllers, but ways to play a game without options.
You and me both.
But yeah. Yeah, I was going to say also what I thought was cool about Starlink is basically it reminded me of Xenoblade Chronicles X, because a lot of the kind of the robots that are, or I don't know if robots are the right word, but some of the ways that you're fighting some of the bosses kind of look like Skells. Did you see that?
Yeah, I haven't seen too much footage, because it seems like whatever I'm able to like get is old footage for the most part.
Yeah.
So like I've seen a lot of the one fight with the one specific Titan, but yeah, I'm definitely interested in this game. I don't know if I'm going to pick it up immediately, but I think it's definitely going to be on my Christmas list at least.
Oh yeah, it looks like a lot of fun, and it kind of like brings you back to those, I think it's more going to be more like a arena kind of shooter, but I mean like it does kind of remind me of like those rail shooters and whatnot. That was one of the reasons why Star Fox and Star Fox 64 were so very, very fun to play. Star Fox 2, it was very clear. It was kind of unfinished when I was playing it for the SNES Classic. But yeah, that's Starlink looks cool. I'm hoping that I'm hoping that does well because I do want to see more Star Fox games, and I feel like that it's a series that can definitely do better. But it's had such it went through a rocky path with Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault. Even though I love Star Fox Assault.
Yeah, Star Fox has kind of fallen into the Sonic realm of things where you're excited for the game, you play analogy, and then you're like, I wanted more, but So it'd be really cool if
you kind of remember the...
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say you kind of remember the good old days of Star Fox instead of the newer days. So
Exactly. You're like, man, Sonic on the Genesis was amazing. So for us, it's like, man, Star Fox on the 64 was so good. And then some people like Assault. That one's kind of like a toss-up of if you enjoy it or not. I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I mean it wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, so moving on to one of mine that I actually want to talk about, which is actually, I know people might find this very odd for me to say this is anticipated release, so you gotta give me a little time to explain it. But this is Battlefield 5 that's coming out, and I'm hoping that it's still coming out at this time. I'm gonna have to fact check myself to see if the release date got pushed back or something like that, because I believe because it was such a big release with Red Dead and another game coming out. Well, we are going to talk about Red Dead. That's later on. Sorry with spoilers.
Spoiler.
But yeah, either way, the reason I'm anticipating this game as a release is because of their take on World War II. And when I say take on World War II, I know I'm going to get Travis to roll his eyes, even though he's not even. I can't even see his face right now. This game's main characters are sporting two different characters. There's a male and a female character. One of them wields a spiked cricket bat for World War II, and one of them wields a katana. Very realistic to World War II, right? And so when they asked the developers why are they going with this interpretation of World War II, they basically, and it's not historically accurate. They basically went back to them and said, "You don't know history," and it's just like, are you fucking kidding?
Yeah, no.
Are you actually kidding?
Everyone knows that Hitler used a cricket bat in all of his battles.
Oh yeah, front lines. There was no tanks. There was no guns. It was only a spiked cricket bat.
Well, no. There were tanks, but the cricket bat would it's like Ness's bat. It just kind of redirected it back to him. It's Counter-Strike.
Oh yeah. So you shoot the projectile out of the tank, and then you just use a spiked cricket bat and you hit it back.
Yeah.
Easy. So basically, what I'm saying about this game is that, especially after I think Battlefield 1 was it, with I think it did good about its interpretation of World War 1. I thought Battlefield 5 would basically follow in those footsteps of trying to give a realistic interpretation of history in that way. And I used to be a huge history nerd, especially U.S. history when I was in high school. But I really don't like the route that this way is going. And so they got, even though the gameplay they heard is really good and the online's good, there's been some controversial stuff. I'm not going to focus on that too much. I just want to focus on the fact that I want to see the reviews that come out because of the fact that they're kind of blatantly disregarding what actually happened in kind of a way to, I don't want to, I'm going to guess it's sell more kind of cosmetic things. That's my guess because of the fact that you wouldn't go for such a weird interpretation of a major war if it wasn't like that. Also, what was kind of weird is that I saw a couple of videos, and apparently they censored. I can understand why they censored the word Nazi, but in this kind of game, I don't think it's possible to do.
Right.
But either way, there's a lot of it's a gray area in that case. There's so much controversy about this game, and pre-orders were already down and whatnot. I just want to see if this game's gonna flop or not. Really, I'm not gonna get the game. I'm probably gonna watch gameplay of it, but I do not think that this is a good start for Battlefield 5 because right now they're blaming it to there's other big games that are being released. No, it's not that. It's because of the fact you guys are taking it in a completely different route that people who are really into the actual immersion of playing a part in a huge part of history, they're not getting. So basically, you're trying to sell them on it's a World War II game. Psych, it's not really. It's very, very different.
I wonder.
But I mean, I don't.
Yeah, I wonder how much Call of Duty World War II kind of affected their approach to it because you just had a game that was realistic in the World War II setting. If they're we need to have a different spin on it in order to still sell, which I personally don't think would have really been an issue. But, because I know Call of Duty and Battlefield used to at least, butt heads with different people is like you either play Call of Duty or you played Battlefield, usually not both online. So maybe that has something to do with it, but that, because I remember you telling me, like, I'm very curious about why they did something. I never did any research about it, and I mean, katanas are cool.
I see. Okay, I'm not bashing on the weapons. I'm just saying that, like, if they're advertising as it's a realistic World War II kind of like game, which, first of all, I wouldn't really think that they should have went with World War II, especially with Call of Duty doing it like very recently. So it doesn't seem like something that deviates too far from the path. But I did hear again, as much as I don't like EA, I'm not gonna say that it looks like a terrible game. In terms of like running well, it does seem like a good game. In terms of what they're trying to do to kind of milk it for a little more than it's worth, that's one of the things I don't really agree with. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say ooh EA bad, because that's basically what all gamers kind of go to, and that's what I'm kind of known for. I want to actually see if this game flops or not based on that kind of World War II interpretation, because that is actually more of a sign for me if people are actually not playing the game because it doesn't feel good to play versus not playing the game versus the fact that they are falsely advertising it. That's what I want to see, and that's why it's a huge anticipated release for me this month. So, makes sense.
Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out on... No, CJ wasn't much of a Battlefield guy. I don't know. None of my friends were. We'll see how... I'll figure it out. I'll know if it flopped.
And here's Mike that's going to talk about one of the games that he wants to talk about.
All right, so my first game is going to be Soul Calibur 6. The reason I wanted to do this one first is because even though I'm excited for it, it's probably the least exciting release that I want to talk about personally. This is the franchise that I personally thought was dead. In fact, I think we published our Dead Franchises video a long time ago. Maybe we didn't, I don't know. But when we recorded it, this was one of the games that I mentioned as a dead franchise that I would like to see make a return in the near future. My level of excitement and skepticism are both extremely high for this game, as funny as that sounds. The child in me is very excited. I absolutely adore Soul Calibur, the franchise as a whole. When I was a kid, I was addicted to Soul Calibur 2. I remember there was a day in school where we were allowed to bring a game to school, and this was the game that I brought. And in my 5th grade class, we all just had a little tournament of Soul Calibur 2, and it was so much fun. So this is a game that's been with me for a very, very long time in my life, the franchise as a whole. Soul Calibur 6 looks absolutely beautiful. I love the characters they're adding, like Geralt from Witcher 3, the whole Witcher series, actually. He's such a cool character. Even in those games, he was fun to play. His combat style was cool. And so I feel like he's a perfect addition to a fighting game like that. He's a character that I already know a ton about, too, so that's really exciting. The interesting piece in there, though, is the character named Tira. I know Nick has told me a lot about this, and he's had a lot of complaints about it, and I think it's justified, honestly. She's in the beta of the Soul Calibur 6 release. So, in the network test that they're doing live between September 28th and September 30th, she's a playable character, but she's not going to be available to people day one of the game. She's actually separate DLC. Why? Why is that a thing? If this character's already made and she's already perfected to the point where she's in the free beta version, how come she's separate DLC? How come she's just not a character that's readily available day one for the game? That's something that makes absolutely no sense to me. I think it's kind of shameful. It's a shameful practice. And it sucks because Soul Calibur, to me, was such an honorable franchise as far as the way they did things. Putting Link in the GameCube version, the way they've always done things has always been kind of cool. It makes me sad because lately, with all the free-to-play games they've done, and they've had a lot of microtransactions in those free-to-play games, it feels like Soul Calibur has been taken down a path where it just wants money. And doing something like this makes me feel like this game is trying to just be a cash grab, which kind of sucks. The new combos and special moves in the game look great. There's going to be 2 different story modes. One of them is going to be based off the original game, Soul Calibur 1. So it makes the game seem like it's going to be a full and complete experience. But that one little piece with Tira makes me kind of worried, because then it starts to create that snowball effect to where you're starting to ask yourself, well, what other stuff are they going to do like this? Is there going to be a mode that's locked behind this? Or later on, are they going to add something else that should have been in the main game? Only time will tell. I'm going to keep my hopes high because I love this Soul Calibur franchise. I've always said this is a very easy-to-learn fighter. It's always been my recommendation as a fighting game for beginners. If you want to get into the fighting game franchise, especially that 2D, 2D plane style fighting, it's nothing like Smash Bros. But, if you're into the Street Fighter type of fighting style, Soul Calibur is a good one to get into. It doesn't require learning extensive combos. You don't have to memorize different character strategies. It's very easy to pick up. So for that reason, I'm still going to purchase this. I have it on pre-order. I'm just hoping that they're not a cash grab with this game. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of iffy on this whole Soul Calibur 6 thing. I love the fact that they're actually going back to like the Soul Calibur that we loved and we played a lot. Because I think we played a lot of Soul Calibur 4 and 5 when we were all up in the same city, and it was a lot of fun. I'm not bashing on that. As Mike knows, that I disagree with the fact that they have already announced the fact that a fighter is going to be locked behind a paywall as Day 1 DLC, and we all know my opinions on Day 1 DLC. But not going to focus too much on that. In terms of a game, it looks very fun to play, and I'm actually very excited to at least try it out. Hopefully, if I don't know if it's coming out for Switch or not. I'll have to do my research on that. But it looks like a lot of fun to play. I'm really looking forward to the fact that Mike actually gets some of his favorite fighting games, his fighting game series to come back. So in terms of a fighting game, it looks awesome. In terms of how many, can't even talk right now. In terms of some of the ways that they're implementing, bringing some of the fighters back, I don't agree with. But then again, I didn't agree with Smash Bros. When it did it either. So I just think that fighting games have a very big tendency to kind of milk things like that, and it's just annoying to see time and time again.
Yeah. I mean, I personally am not too excited for Soul Calibur 6 just because I'm typically not a huge fighter game person anyway, because I'm way too lazy to learn combos. But it does upset me that game developers are kind of knowing that we will pay for the extra fighter because it's just better to have more fighters in a fighter game. It just makes things a little more interesting. And the fact that they're charging you money for characters that were previously playable, that's so dumb.
I just think it's the fact that fighters have it so easy where they can just put the system in. And I mean, again, I don't want to focus on it for too long, but yeah, I'm with you. It does seem was it nickel and dimey, I guess. But I mean, I think it's if it's a new character, I'm a little more lenient on, because yeah, you're getting more there. And I mean, we're not getting a ton of new characters for Smash Bros. Ultimate, but in terms of an actual fighting game doing it, I just feel like it's one of the easier systems to implement. But I'm hoping that not everything's like that. I hope they just do it for like 1 or 2 characters, so not a ton of people get affected. Because Soul Calibur does have a lot of good fighting characters that hopefully we won't get caught up on like only 1 or 2 being like in that way. So if they want to do that thing, fine, do it. We won't agree with it. We'll give you shit for it. But if it's only for a couple fighters, that's not as bad. Trying to think on the bright side here.
Yeah, for me,
usually it's microtransactions bad, which I still find that true. But I want to see the thing that I have an issue with is if it hurts the game itself.
Right.
And in this kind of way, it might hurt it a little bit. But if it's not too drastic of a thing, I think that's a win in this day and age, because a lot of games can have more of an impact in that way.
Yeah, for me, I don't mind dropping the money if it's a new character, like you said. It's just when it's been previously played one. Like when Smash Bros. Came out with Roy, Mewtwo, Lucas, I'm like, I loved these characters, but it's stupid that they were in a game and now I have to pay, what was it, $6 for them? That was stupid.
It was more than $6 for those characters. I think it was like, I think for all of those characters, I don't know if you got the bundle or not. I think
I always got the bundle.
Probably like 20 for. I think it was like 20 or whatnot. Smash Bros. I don't agree with the way they did DLC there either.
Yeah,
but
because Ryu and Bayonetta were fine because they're brand new characters to the franchise. So I'm like, yeah, that makes sense that it charged me.
Same with Cloud.
Yeah, but I was not happy having to pay that much for Mewtwo and Roy for the first 2 DLC, right? Those were the first 2? I know Mewtwo definitely was.
Mewtwo was the first one. I think then Roy Lucas was the second.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I agree with you, man. It's rough. It's rough. Or maybe Cloud was before that. I don't know. I don't know that one for sure. It's been a while.
Yeah. They were in. Yeah. It upset me that the first couple DLC were just old characters that we wanted in the game originally anyway. But we don't have to worry about it anymore. Haha. So this next game that I'm very stoked for and have already purchased, we actually tried to play it last night, but it didn't come out yet. So hey.
Yeah, they know the pre-purchase thing right there. It's just like they won't let you play it until that date.
I wish that it at least gave you like the date on it. Because sometimes I'm what day does this game come out? And I click on it, I'm like, okay, clearly not yet. And I have to go and Google search it. But it's Super Mario Party. Woo! Finally, no more single goddamn car collecting random ass stars. Oh god, this game looks like everything that I've wanted any Mario Party to be, because the little different quirky thing in it is just a special dice. If you don't like them, you don't have to do it. Doesn't affect the gameplay at all. It's amazing. I love it. You buy a star. I'm a little sad that it's only 10 coins instead of 20, because you don't even have to like win any games in order to actually buy a star anymore. But whatever, it's part of the fun. You'll steal them all anyway. But then I also like all of the different random modes that they kind of put in, like the one where it's 2v2 and you're just running around like a grid instead of like an actual board, and you have to actually like really calculate out where you're going to go, and sometimes have to like make an entire box just so you can land on the star space to purchase it. It looks like a lot of fun, and I can easily see us playing it, especially if I don't know if they've announced that they've changed the online. I know before it was just mini games.
Well, yeah, just mini games.
Man.
I don't think it's being changed, but we can see. There might be an update if there's enough of a backlash to it.
Yeah, it'd be so nice too, because especially now that we are getting older and not actually in the same room and or state anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I would love to just chill on a Friday night and be like, hey, Nick and Mike, let's go play some Mario Party.
Do some Mario Party.
And think of how awesome it would be for freaking streaming if you're just playing with three streamers.
God, that'd be so great. I think Nintendo might be afraid of rage quitters or something like that.
Yeah.
There's maybe no way to keep them to stay. I don't understand if that's the reason why they don't want to do for online boards, because they had them where for Mario Kart not Mario Kart. What am I talking about? Mario Party DS, where you could actually like play the boards with other people through like a wireless play, and so, or maybe not wireless play. Maybe it was like the local play. But yeah, I remember I had Mario Party DS, and I was basically hosting 4 people, also like all playing on one of them, and it was awesome. So yeah. But yeah, either way, I wanted to say about the about Super Mario Party. I think one of the reasons why it went that way about that, as Travis said, the single goddamn cart. For Mario Party's 8, I mean, obviously people thought it was getting kind of stale around like Mario Party's 7 or whatnot, probably earlier than that, even though we loved it and we played those games and we just wanted more boards and whatnot, and so that's what we wanted going into those games. Because I think that Mario Party 9 is usually rated higher than a lot of the other ones, but I think that's because at least from some people's perspective. I don't know if that's how it is on Metacritic. I didn't check those. Metacritic is usually a pretty good place to go for ratings.
Okay.
But I looked it up because I always kind of thought this, but I remember the Hudson logo appearing on Mario Party for the 64, and I always remembered that it seemed like they were missing in some of the later installments. And Hudson, I think, left creating Mario Parties right after Mario Party 8, which is why I'm sure they got the green light to go with such a radical different concept. And when they've done interviews with the people saying, asking them why did they go in a different route, they said that, oh, well, one person's turn didn't affect the other person's turn, so we wanted to make it more interactive where everybody has a part of what's going on. I'm like, that's a load of crap. Like, there's no way that one person landing on chance time that drags 2 other people in does not affect everybody on the dang course. I mean, on the dang board. Like, that's a load of crap. I'm sorry. That's just dumb. But either way, Hudson Soft, I think left. I'm just gonna make sure I did fact check myself on this. The developer Hudson Soft actually did work on Mario Party 8, but they're not working on Mario Party 9 or Super Mario Party. So maybe I'm gonna say that I'm hoping that Nintendo and ND Cube, the people who are making Super Mario Party, actually got a little bit of I don't know if the Hudson Soft is still around, but hoping they got a little bit of consultation from them on what they did to make Mario Party games so fun.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that it's going to be a huge success, and I'm sure it is going to be a huge success just based on feedback from the trailers, from the gameplay, and the other modes that I've been seeing them implement too. It looks like so much fun, and I can't wait to play it. I have high hopes for this game. I know I'm going to be slightly let down at the fact if they don't bring online board playing on, but hey, you know what?
Yeah,
I'll live.
Because I totally understand if it was like random people, it might be a bit much because of rage quitters and being like that would just be a huge issue. But if you were if you had to friend them and then you could just play a friend game, like obviously you're not going to rage quit on your friends, and your friends won't hold it against you because they'll probably understand that if you want to keep the friendship going, you have to let them go.
That's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, I like the fact that they're going to focus on a lot of aspects of the, or they're going to be focusing on a lot of the aspects of the dang, I cannot talk right now, man. They're going to be focusing on a lot of what people wanted from the older Mario Party and whatnot, and the kind of ways that you can incorporate the Switch in different ways for different mini games are too. So I like the fact that they're making this more of a party game as well, like on the go. I know we always talk about, I want to bring my Switch on the go, and you hear people talk about it a million times. That is one of the major selling points for it, and I do like the fact that it's going to be incorporating a lot of those facts like that. So even though they're giving us the old Mario Party that they want, they are still innovating, and they are going to still try out new ideas. And when I mean new ideas, I mean new ideas that aren't the solo kart, because that idea is dumb unless it's Bowser Party. Bowser Party's awesome.
I agree. If only it had more than 10 mini-games. That was such a blown opportunity.
Yes! That was such a good idea with Bowser Party, and then just ruined it.
I feel like they were planning on having some sort of DLC to add more mini-games, but the game I don't think sold well at all because A, it was on the Wii U, and B, because there was nothing there except for Bowser Party with 10 mini-games. So if you had a friend,
it's on a platform that people don't even really play, so yeah.
Yeah.
Which is rough.
Yeah.
But either way.
I'm curious to see how often I play that the game mode where you actually put the switches together and you just kind of like flick it and you like connect bananas, or you have like that tank battle thing.
Yeah.
Because
I'm looking forward to that. That looks like I want to play that mode a couple times and bring your Switch up here.
Yeah.
And if we get 4 switches, oh, that'd be sick.
Oh my god. Just 8 switches just lined up on a table.
Just a freaking long-ass tank thing to see the thing shoot from one end to the other. Oh, God. You're getting me too excited. Well, anyway, I want to mention my last one. I'm not going to talk about it for a long time because, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the series, but I do like the games that come out for here. I'm going to be talking about Mega Man.
Okay, so my next one is kind of a big one for a lot of people. This is Red Dead Redemption 2. For those of you that don't know, you'd be psycho, but this game is coming out October 26th. This is a prequel to the first game, obviously. If you know how the first game ended, you would know that it'd be kind of hard to make a sequel for it, unless they went a completely different route. I'm not really a fan of prequels, typically. It's hard to give surprises in those games. You typically tend to know what characters survive and which characters die, depending on whether or not they're present or mentioned in the sequel. You know, if there's a character that you see in a sequel, you know they're going to be alive in the prequel. You know they can't be killed off or anything like that. So many of the characters you already kind of know the outcome for. Some of them you don't. You know, if they're only present in the prequel, you don't know if maybe they went on their own way or something like that. But still. But in this case, I do like the idea of a prequel only because of how Red Dead Redemption ended. I'm glad they're not trying to like add on to that story in any way. I think it's a much better idea to just do a prequel, you know, tell the story before, especially because John Marston had a lot of interesting backstory. The first game said a lot about it, but it didn't give too much detail. And so I think it's a good idea to explore his past a little bit more. And, you know, we can learn about, you know, the prior gang and his interactions with them and what his life was like before. But the interesting part about this game is you actually don't play as John Marston, who was the main character of the first game. He is expected to be featured prominently in the game. He's going to have a pretty major role in the game as far as... I don't know. I was going to say something like I did know. I'm assuming he might be like a side quest giver, or he's just going to be like a good friend of your character. I'm not exactly sure. But I know that he is going to be in the game a lot. You actually play as a character named Arthur Morgan, so it's a little bit different. He's still in the Vanderlyn gang, so, you know, he still has a big role as far as all that goes. But I'm interested to learn about this new character, you know. This game seems like a much bigger version of Red Dead Redemption also, as far as the random missions and the side quests go. Just like before, there's a lot of interactions as far as doing good deeds and bad deeds. If you remember from the first game, there was an honor system where if you do good deeds, people look at you better. The law might, you know, favor you a little bit more, but the more bad deeds you do, the more mistreated you are by both townsfolk and the law. So it's an interesting concept. I always like the honor system in games, and so I think that's a good addition. I'm glad that they're keeping that for this game. And so all this makes me wonder, you know, how deep is Arthur Morgan's character going to be? I'm really excited to see exactly what they plan on doing with this character, but he seems really cool. Online isn't really completely available yet, and in fact, it's not going to be launching with the game on release day. The release day, as I mentioned, is October 26th, but they said the online mode won't be launching until November. So it could be a few days, it could maybe be a couple weeks. I tried to do my research, but I didn't see an official release date as far as the online stuff goes, so I don't know when it'll be, but I know it'll at least be within the first month of the game's release, so that's not too bad. I'd rather them perfect that, and we don't need online right away anyway. I think it's more fun if you wait on the online and then you take in the single player mode, because the single player mode is really where this game thrives. The map is supposedly really huge. That's what they always say with every game ever made. When Grand Theft Auto 5 came out, oh, look at that big map. Fallout 4, that's a huge map. Fallout 76, oh my god, that's what they say for every single game ever. But it looks like an expansive map as far as like a variety of areas and things like that. And so I care less about the size of the map and more what they do with it. If it's a big map, but there's a lot of just empty space with nothing and buildings you can't explore, I don't really care. So the game seems like, and Rockstar is really good about making maps that have a lot of detail and things you can explore. I'm hoping Red Dead Redemption 2 is the same way, and I have no doubt it will be. So obviously I'm excited. Rockstar's awesome. They don't need, me to give them any credibility. People know that this is incredible, and there really shouldn't be any doubt. This is the company's first big release since Grand Theft Auto 5, and we all know how that game turned out, one of the best-selling games ever. So Red Dead Redemption 2 should have nothing but extremely high expectations, because I know this company's going to live up to it.
So Red Dead, the first one, I never played. I'm one of those people. I heard it was a really fun game from anyone who has ever played Red Dead. And then I remember...
Oh, I heard it was one of the most fantastic games ever. I remember there's one time when I got Pat on Red Dead, and I don't think he shut up about it for a long time.
Yeah, we do that sometimes. But I remember you saying that the demo was very underwhelming for people, but I wonder how much of that is kind of like the Xenoblade 2 kind of problem, where if there's a lot going on and you just kind of don't know what you're doing in such a limited time, you don't really get the full appreciation of what the game truly is. Because Red Dead, if I remember correctly, is like super open world and you just do whatever you want, right?
That's what I've heard. I've heard the map is like one of the biggest maps ever too. What I've heard, again, I'm not a huge, I wasn't very into Red Dead at all. I just seen gameplay, a little bit of it. I was going to mention that whole demo thing, but again, I just think it's almost impossible to make a demo that's going to please everybody.
Right.
The issue is that there's some reporters that said that they put him to sleep because it didn't show any of the action things. They basically showed them like walking or like traveling across an area with a horse or whatever, and trying to show off like how beautiful a world is nowadays. You can do that for a little bit and get a wow factor, but if you try to do that for like a whole demo, people are going to be kind of
super pissed.
They're going to be kind of confused there.
Yeah.
But it basically is like, I think Xenoblade 2 is actually a great example of it, because there's so much going on, especially in the fighting system in Xenoblade 2. That's one of the biggest parts of it, that one of the things that they spent time polishing and perfecting over during long like play sessions and testing. And with Xenoblade 2, I actually had Shen, when Shen was over here one time, he was seeing me do the Xenoblade 2 combat, he goes, how do you know what the heck's going on? I was just like, the way they pace the combat and how they're teaching you how to fight all the monsters, just literally took hours and hours of time. But when you have a good understanding of the system itself, it feels so good to actually engage in those really, really hard fights. So in that kind of situation, I feel like even though Red Dead, I don't even know if it has a complicated fighting system or not.
Probably not.
Like
I think it's just kind of a first-person shooter type ordeal, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong, everyone in the chat, because...
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but...
Either way,
Yeah, but it also easily could be one of those situations where, because like, I'm sure if I was playing Fallout, if you just put me in some random area and like, okay, go explore and have fun, like, I would have zero idea of what objective I should be maybe trying to look for, and like, just knowing that you have like a goal in mind helps so much in like getting encapsulated in the environment in itself too. So, like, if there's not much direction, because they don't want to, like, give away too much of the story in the demo, I can easily see how, like, an open world situation, like, the demo is just going to be disappointing. So I have high hopes for it. I hope it does well. I wish it would be able to go to Switch.
I'm pretty sure they said people who played the game, I'm not sure if they had test builds or something like that, have said more positive things about it. It's just the fact that what they showed off at their I don't even know if it was technically a press conference. I'm pretty sure it was at a convention center somewhere.
Yeah.
But what they showed off at that moment was actually like, I think that they just did a bad job of what to show as like a demo of the game itself. I will think it'll do very well, and I will think that it's going to be a lot better than what the demo showed. But it does have a little bit of a concern if it's an overwhelmingly, I wouldn't say overwhelmingly, if it's a more skewed to a negative interpretation of what the game has. I still have high hopes for it, and I still know it's going to do good. But yeah, I'm with you, Travis. It's going to be interesting to see how it does.
Yeah, like I said, I hope it's the best, because like, it's always sad when some game was just like amazing and revolutionary, and then the next of it just kind of flopped.
Yep, true that.
I'm trying to
True
think
that.
of an
Well,
example.
it's coming out for.
Oh wait, Halo 3 to Halo 4.
God, you don't want to bring up that scar that you have, Travis, from.
Oh, it's
your
not a
shooter days in the
scar.
past.
I'm just straight up third-degree burn victim.
It'll never heal.
Never heals.
I do like the games that come out for here. I'm going to be talking about Mega Man 11. And Mega Man 11 coming out basically because a lot of things that we've been saying before, going back to its roots, going back to one of the things that made Mega Man a very big classic. Mega Man definitely struggled for a pretty long time, when, especially when it came for the... Actually, if we want to talk about game series that has like almost too many games, I think Mega Man would probably be the best one to talk about, because there's a ton of them that was made for the NES, a lot of them that was made for the Super Nintendo. During around, like, I would say, like, Mega Man X, I think it was like X6, X7 or something like that, there's a couple of ones that they made that really deviated far from the formula, where they had like a slow 3D kind of crap that happened, and I know it made a lot of people angry. But basically, Mega Man 11 is basically them saying, yes, we know how everybody's going back to their roots. Mega Man's going to do the same thing. Don't worry, guys. You're going to love this Mega Man. And I've already seen like the trailers and everything for it. In terms of a classic Mega Man, it looks like it's going to maintain like so much of the feel and so much of the charm that made those Mega Man games so memorable. It's not going to be I'm hoping it will be what Sonic Mania was to me, as Mega Man 11 will be to like the old Mega Man fans. Because that's the feeling that I think that would be the best to get out of it, where it is a blast of nostalgia, but at the same time it still is incorporating a couple new things. I don't know who's working on Mega Man 11, but I do know, just by seeing the trailers and just by seeing what they're trying to do, it's on the right track, and it has a lot of momentum going in for it. And so I would love to keep seeing these retro games come out like this, but we'll see how much money it makes. Because these games might, because of the smaller price tag, they might not make as much money as a big AAA game. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for Mega Man as well. I got the demo the day it came out, and I was very humbled by how bad I was at the game. Because I remember playing Mega Man 0 and like beating the whole thing. I don't want to say no problem, because it was definitely a difficult game, but I literally couldn't even beat the boss that they let you fight on casual. I was just... I don't know if it's just like a different type of 2D platformer than what I've been playing, and that's why I was so trash, or if it's just...
It could be.
Yeah.
Mega Man games take a while to get used to, I've learned.
Yeah.
So I played Mega Man X for the SNES Classic, and which, by the way, Mega Man X, very, very good game. I am trash at it. I am trying to get better at it. There's a time when me and Scott were hanging out, and he literally was trying to see me face this one Mega Man X boss. And apparently they said it was one of the harder ones. I don't know. I just thought I was doing really bad and not reading his attack patterns at all. I give Scott the controller now, and he was in the exact same boat I am. And he's very, very good at Super Nintendo-like games, because he actually, I think his first game system that he got was the Super Nintendo. So he loves those kinds of old-school Metrovania kind of games. And he was struggling with it too. And Scott, I would actually consider, is way better of a gamer than me in those kinds of games too. So the games aren't easy. You got to be a good gamer, and you got to understand that those games are pretty damn brutal.
Yeah.
So, Travis, if you want to face that boss, I have it up here, ready to go.
Oh,
but
God.
they're tough games. I'm not going to say they're easy games. I'm sure people who play the old ones are like, oh, they are easy. You guys are just bad, which I could see.
But what I like about the Mega Man game is I was sucking so bad, but yet I was never like, oh, this game is awful. I'm like, ugh, I am trash. It's like when I was playing Celeste. It's like, the game isn't bad, I am bad.
Yeah, it's nice when you can distinguish the fact that it's a player doing the thing wrong, or if it's just a game messing up.
Yes.
Like Sonic 06 has terrible glitches that'll screw you over.
Oh look, I ran off a spring and went flying to the left for no reason with there's no platform, and I died.
Or fall just straight through the bottom of the floor.
Or that, oh my god. That happened to the Game
Well, either
Grumps.
way, yeah.
That was so funny.
Yes. Well, either way, I'm just going to leave it at that for Mega Man 11.
So this is a bit interesting. The last game for me is probably the game I am the most excited for, even though it's probably not going to be a majority opinion. In fact, I probably feel I'm in the vast minority of people that are extremely pumped for this game. That is Assassin's Creed Odyssey. For those of you that know, Assassin's Creed Origins, I just kind of bought it because it sounded cool. I like ancient Egyptian settings. That game quickly became one of my favorite games of all time. If we made a new top 5 list, this game would have absolutely been inside of it. I have put hundreds and hundreds of hours into Assassin's Creed Origins. I've beaten that game like 3 or 4 times. I've done Let's Plays, I've done streams, I've done so much with that game. I fell in love with the combat system, I fell in love with the story, and I think a lot of it is just that I like Egypt, and so, you know, I don't want to keep talking about Origins, but I want to set the stage because Odyssey's controversy comes from the fact that it's coming out like a year after, not even a year, I don't think, or maybe just around a year after Origins did, and a lot of people are saying it looks exactly the same. And I think people are upset saying, well, look at, they're taking this template, using the exact same template again for this game, and just trying to sell it as a brand new game. Yeah, that's not wrong, but for me personally, I'm okay with that. They're adding a couple new tweaks to the system that I think is going to make the game feel a lot different. The first thing is the big thing. It's choosing between a male and female protagonist. And the first game you play is Bayek. You don't get a choice in that. Bayek is the character you play as. You also did spend some time playing as, you know, Aya, the female version, I guess, his wife/girlfriend. But you don't get a pick. You play the main game as Bayek. In this game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, you get to choose between a male-female protagonist. The game plays out the same, so picking one character over the other isn't going to change a lot in terms of the plots. The game is still going to feel the same, but on top of that, there's also dialogue options. There's all these little things that are going to add up as far as what you say to people will affect their opinion and their view on you. I know that there is going to be some status as far as, you know, are you going to make this person like you, or are they not going to like you? So it's going to change the experience a lot, I think. It seems like Ubisoft wants this game to feel like a full-fledged RPG. You know, they don't want this sort of half RPG where, yeah, you have a level-up system, but interactions with people are pretty limited. It seems like Assassin's Creed Odyssey is trying to change the aspect of character interactions. You know, it wants it to feel like when you talk to NPCs, it actually has a lot more meaning. Because in Assassin's Creed Origins, that was one of the big things about the game, is talking to people didn't really do anything. You didn't really build relationships with people. And I know this game also has a lot of like romance options and things like that with other NPCs, and so it's interesting to see where this game is going to go with that. I felt like Origins had a strict path. You're Bayek, these are your friends, this is your girlfriend, these are the people you can interact with. Odyssey makes it seem like it's going to let you choose a lot of these things, which seems interesting, so I'm curious how that's going to turn out. So as I mentioned, the controversy is the combat system, the setting, the character models, everything looks so copy-paste. But for me, I like that. Again, I loved how it all worked in Origins, and I'm glad they're not changing it. If they did this for 5 or 6 straight games, it would probably start to annoy me, but copy-pasting one game that's supposed to feel the same doesn't really bother me. You know, Ancient Greece and Ancient Egypt should probably be treated the same, and I'm glad those games are going to have their own feeling compared to games like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which take place in like the 1800s with Queen Victoria and all that stuff. You know, a game like that with like modern weapons and trains and things like that should feel a lot different than a game set in Ancient Greece and Ancient Egypt. So I feel like it's good these two games feel similar to each other. Yeah, so the game is very expansive, as I mentioned. It showcases many popular settings around Greece. The time period for this is the Peloponnesian War. If you don't know what that war is, that's the war between Sparta and Athens. And so this was one of my favorite wars to study. I'm sad that I don't remember a lot of details, but I guess it's good then that I'm playing this game, because this game is usually pretty historically accurate as far as the fun facts that it gives you. Obviously, you know, a lot of the stuff isn't real, but the game tries to give you a lot of historically accurate information mixed in with like the fictional setting, and so you do kind of learn a lot about ancient Greece, as long as you're smart about where you're getting your sources from in this game. On like pause menus and loading screens, it gives you fun facts that you can learn about. Anyway, I don't want to go on about that. In the real world, you play as Layla, who's the same as the Origins character. So in Assassin's Creed Origins, you played as Layla. She was doing her own research for Abstergo until they kind of betrayed her and stuff. So they're going to continue her story. In-game, you play as a descendant of Leonidas. The whole plot at the beginning is you let down the Oracle, you bring shame upon your family, they throw you off a mountain and try to kill you, but you survive, and then the game picks up 2 decades later after that. So, you know, the story of it seems cool. It takes place before Origins, which is kind of interesting, because Origins told the story of how the Assassin's Creed formed, and now we're going further back in time. So I'm curious how this game is going to relate to the Creed and, you know, to the Assassins and all that. I don't know exactly what this game is going to do as far as its relation to that, or if it's just going to be a fun Assassin's Creed Greece game. I don't know, but I'm excited to see. So this is my favorite release, even though people might not agree. But every game I mentioned I'm excited for. I think there's a lot of cool games. So, yeah. So I have a couple of honorable mentions. My first one is Resonance of Fate Remaster. This was an exclusive PS3 release, and now it's going to be an exclusive PS4 and PC release. It's a turn-based Japanese RPG. Not a lot of people really played it, but it's kind of an interesting game. You play in a dystopian future. Humanity sort of on the brink of being extinct. The game is really cool because it's a lot of tactical positioning. You kind of move your characters around. It's a lot of turn-based combat, things like that. And so it's kind of cool the way it works. It's a lot different from typical JRPGs, and it's pretty underrated. Not a lot of people have heard of it. I personally never played it, and so this remaster is a good chance for me to be able to do that, so I'm excited for that. And then also Dark Souls Remastered is coming to the Nintendo Switch. This is one that I think is super cool. It got delayed. I have not beaten Dark Souls. I played it, but I haven't beaten it. So I'm probably going to try to beat it once it comes out for the Nintendo Switch. I've been waiting for this to happen for a while. It's only $40, and so it's a lot cheaper than normal. So that's one that I am extremely excited to be able to try out. So those are my 2 honorable mentions. There's a lot of other awesome games coming out this month. This month is very heavy packed, but my wallet's going to be broke, man.
Well, either way, not to get too far off topic on that. I know this was a longer one, guys, but this is a really, really big month. Like, I don't think you guys realize how big of a month this is. This is huge. There's going to be, I think, a little bit of a lull for the month afterwards, but then we have the holiday season, and holy crap, we're going to be getting a lot of really good games. So, hopefully we'll be able to keep you updated on all of those games as they're coming along. But yes, I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, this is a big month. Please let us know what games you want to get down below. Please let Mike know that you want to give him a big hug, and please let Travis know that you want to give him a big high five. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye.
Bye.